Good afternoon. Kind of fill you in a little bit, some different things in the program, then answer any questions you may have. We had our mock game on Friday, and I thought our players did a great job of really handling the game management situations that it can occur, not just throughout the course of one game, but throughout the course of an entire football season. There's so many things that go into it with your hot box and punt return and kickoff return. So I thought that was a valuable teaching tool. We gave our players Saturday and Sunday off to recover, so they should be well rested and they should be anxious to start game week today. I think the big thing for us with this football team is paying attention to the small details. You know, the small details that it takes to winning football games, our effort, our energy, our playing together. You know, there was one defining moment, I thought, throughout the course of training camp where our defense had great energy, and I think that was a byproduct of generating the most turnovers that we had generated in all of training camp. And I think when you play with a high level of energy and intensity level or relentlessness to attack the football, good things happen to you defensively, and I thought that was a great teaching tool for our players. But it continues to be a common theme of investing in the right things. You know, now the whole rhythm and routine is just beginning, you know, with school in session, you know, now game week preparation, and it's really investing in victory. You win Saturdays by winning Monday through Friday. The way you prepare, the way you focus, the way you practice, and I think those are all things that we talk about playing winning football, and that's going to stem with our preparation. It's staying ahead of the game academically, you know, and so all those things that go into it, it's our habits. You know, you're either performing bad habits or poor habits or good habits, and everything is habit forming. So again, it's another evaluation tool or evolution of Team 117 is now how do we handle game day. A couple things. First two games, I always call them the game of the unknowns. You know, you really don't know what to expect, first of all, from your opponent. You know, new coaching staff, new faces, new schemes, and then ourselves, you know, concerning is really focusing on what we do, you know, and so there's a lot of things, a lot of players will be playing for the first time. We're playing in front of a, you know, 102, 455, and so how are they really going to act? You know, what happens with our leadership, you know, our playmaking ability. So everything is going to become new. I'll know a little bit more where we're at as a football team and a football program after game one, but you have to be ready for anything and everything and be prepared. As like I said, the first two games are unknowns. A couple things, Corey Vereen, Jaquez Smith, and Riyad Jones will be out this game. We fully anticipate having Jaquez Smith back for Western Kentucky. We've moved Vincent Dallas from corner back to wide receiver, and then our starting quarterback for Austin Peay will be Justin Worley. And it was a very, very tight race. I thought all four individuals did a great job. I think they all really advanced their growth and development throughout the entire course of training camp. But we just thought Justin was just a little bit ahead of the other three individuals. I met with every single quarterback individually, myself and Mike Bajakian, so we always believe in handling everything in-house. And but I told him everything is judged by your productivity, and so we'll continue to really look at that position, and not just that position, but every position on our football team. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Hey, Butch, how do you maintain that competition there at quarterback without having Justin or whomever sort of looking over his shoulder?
Well, I think that stems with Justin. You know, that's on him. You know, any great competitor, you don't ever look back behind you. You know, you keep looking forward and, you know, continue to progress and get better and better. And Justin's extremely competitive. You know, we don't ever want to create a scenario where they're always looking behind them. But that's the world that we live in. That's football. That's competition. And we're going to learn how to compete, not just on game day, but everything we do in our football program is based off of competition. We'll compete today on Monday. And that's what it's, you know, that's what our program is all about.
You said it was a very, very tight race. Was it ultimately just his experience and what he did in the spring coupled with summer and camp, or what was it that
was an overall body of work. It was taking care of the football. And we charted anything and everything. We wanted to make the best educated decision for our football team and our football program. And it was taking care of the football. I think, the game experience had a little bit to do with it as well. And you're coupling with an extremely young offensive football team. Yeah, we have some veteran players up front, but everywhere else, we're young. I believe we have 54 career receiving yards of our starting wide receivers. And so I just think that just the overall game experience and him taking care of the football. But, I thought Nate Peterman did a tremendous job. Nate was the first one in today at 7 a.m. watching film. And, and then I thought our true freshmen, both of them did an outstanding job, and they were behind, obviously, mentally, physically, and you could see a little bit of a, I don't want to say a drop-off, but you could see a little bit once school started, and they're experiencing, a full academic workload. They're experiencing college life. They're experiencing the day-to-day rigors of what it is to be a quarterback at this level, and any level, in college. So I think all that came into play.
Were you surprised that the freshmen were able to wedge themselves into the competition, given those things that you said that they were a little bit behind and physically and mentally when they got on campus?
No, that's the reason why we recruited them. And if you're a quarterback, where else would you want to play quarterback than the University of Tennessee? It starts with Peyton Manning. You look at our tradition. So we expect to have the best of the best, and the way they performed is what we expected. Now they have a lot of room for growth and development in all aspects, but I like the progress that they've made so far.
Are you expecting to play multiple quarterbacks Saturday, or?
We'll see how the game goes. Right now, Justin Worley's our starter, and he's our starter. And you get back to the question that was asked about looking over your shoulder. I don't want our quarterbacks, if they make a mistake, they're looking over and wondering when they're going to get the hook. That's not how I believe in developing quarterbacks, but they do have to produce. But, we have to be patient as well.
In a perfect world, would you like to redshirt at least one of the true freshman quarterbacks, or are you thinking along the lines of them playing at some point?
We have to play the best individual who will lead us to victory. In a perfect world, absolutely, we would like to redshirt one of those individuals. But it's a long season, and, it gets back to the thing you guys probably get sick and tired of hearing me say, is just focusing on the process and winning the day. We have to win Monday in order to be able to get to Tuesday, and that's kind of the program model right now.
Outside the offensive line, there's not a whole lot of leaders within the rest of the offense. How did Justin maybe set himself apart from the other guys in that leadership role? He's
progressing. He's work in progress. He still has some improvement to go. Just like everyone on our football team is really learning leadership. And, it's like I told Justin yesterday, it's one thing to lead when things are going great. The mark of a great quarterback is leading your team to victory in the 1-minute drill on the road. And having that poise and that confidence, that it takes to manage an entire offense. And so, there's room for growth and development there, just like every single player in our football program. They still have to learn how to lead when things go wrong. When we suffer adversity, and I've said it, this football team's going to be defined in how we handle adversity and how we persevere. And that's one of the things we tried to accomplish in camp, but you really never know until you get into the pressure of a game situation where it's really for real then.
He does come across pretty soft-spoken. Would you like him to be louder,
yes.
a little bit more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's the alpha male. He's the leader. When things start to go wrong or when things don't go according to plan, which they very rarely do go according to plan, is all eyes are going to look on the quarterback. The way they manage the huddle before we take the field, the way they have a command presence, the way they take control of the line of scrimmage, that's what quarterbacks do. That's part of the job description of being a quarterback.
Butch, you mentioned game run knowns. How much do you think you know about Austin Peay at this point? Any connection? Your head coach has got a Central Michigan connection. Anything there?
You try to do your research and watch as much film as possible. Spivey, the quarterbacks, he's a winner. They won a national championship. He threw for over 3,000 yards. They're going to test our secondary. We fully anticipate that. Timmy Phillips is one of their running backs. I recruited Tim when I was at Central Michigan, and very fittingly, he was also named one of their team captains. Tim is very dynamic. He's elusive. He played for us as a true freshman on a football team that finished ranked top 25 in the country and won a bowl game and upset a top-ranked opponent in Michigan State. So Tim's going to bring a lot of elusiveness. So, we've tried to do our research, but again, when you go into a first game, the thing that really makes you uneasy is, first of all, turning the football over. The physicality of the game, because so much throughout the course of training camp, it's you pick your spots when you tackle live, it's your tackling by your defense, it's turnovers, and it's special teams. So many different things, and there'll be a number of games this first week of the season that'll come down with special teams and turnovers. So you really try to educate your players and, trick plays and eye discipline and all the things that we've harped throughout the course of training camp really come into full play that first game.
What went into Rajon Neal kind of keeping that number one running back spot over Marlon Land? Looked like Marlon gave a pretty good push early in camp.
He did. Marlon really progressed throughout the course of training camp. He was slowed for about 3 days with a slight ankle injury, but he's fine now. And, Rajon was just a model of consistency. I thought he really improved in his pass protection skills, which he needed a lot of work on that area, and I think he's really done a great job of embracing that role and just, again, understanding the run reads. Does he still have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. But I just think it was a day-to-day level of consistency each and every day.
How many of those guys, running backs, do you feel kind of comfortable playing, and how many tight ends do you feel comfortable playing on Saturday? You'll have numbers.
Well, when you want to play with a level of physicality, you always need running backs. And right now, Rajon Neal and Marlon Lane will get the bulk of the carries. But Tom Smith has come on a little bit. Alden Hill needs to be a special teams performer for us and, get the tough yards for us. But those two will receive the bulk of the carries. Tight end wise, that's another position that's work in progress right now. And so Brendan Downs will get the bulk of the work there, but we want to be able to get into some 2 tight end sets and some 3 tight end sets. So the development of the younger players at that position are going to be critical as well.
Butch, what is your passing game better now than it was 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Well, I'd like to think fundamentally and technique-wise, and we haven't been able to install all the offense that we wanted to just because of the youth, at the wide receiver position, but also the inexperience at quarterback as well. And we want to own something. You can put all these plays in, but if you don't execute it, it doesn't matter. And we don't run a designer offense. We're going to be an execution-based offense. So, it's mastering the fundamentals, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is you put a slant route in. Well, the slant route, you have to practice it versus free access, cover 3 off man, press man, inside technique press man, outside technique press man, cover 2. So one route that you may just see, well, that's a slant route, there's 4 or 5, different slight technique adjustments that have to be, you have to be owned. You have to master the technique, and that's why we talk to our players all training the camp about not only owning your conditioning, but owning your technique, knowing the why. Why do we do this? Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to stem, the corner this way? And also understanding the reception areas. And then them also understanding where they're at in the progression, of the route. What happens with a lot of young receivers is they may have a 15-yard dig route, and they may run a 10 or 12-yard dig route. And they're saying, Coach, I was wide open. Well, you're number 2 or number 3 in the progression. That's why your route's at 15 yards. So there's a whole process that goes into developing young wide receivers.
Which quarterback would give you the best running threat? Which one of those 4 guys?
They're all very similar. Justin's not going to give you the 15, 20, 25 big splash play run, but what he can do is he has really good pocket instincts, and he can get you 4 or 5, 6 yards in some design quarterback runs, which we'll have. Nate Peterman may be a little bit faster, and then the 2 freshmen, have some elusiveness to them, and they can probably make more plays with their legs right now, but we can't let the mind tie the feet up. And everything is, the instincts and the pocket collapsing and all that. But Justin can get us out of some problems. But, when we call quarterback runs, it's designed to get 4 or 5 yards.
Butch, looking at your...
On the depth chart, on the two deep, and I don't think any of them were early enrollees. How much of that was just what y'all needed to do because of depth issues? And how much
I'm sorry,
of it
what
was
position?
Just, I think, a half dozen freshmen overall on the two deep.
Yeah.
How much of that was just depth issues, and how much of that was these guys coming in and making a statement?
It was a combination of both. We talk about competition is extremely healthy, and that's something that we have to continue to recruit here. And so some of it was just where we're at in the program. It is what it is. And then some guys have done a great job, and freshmen they all develop differently. But I think this was a very talented incoming freshman class. I counted it up. We could play as little as 10 true freshmen to as many as 15 to 16 true freshmen Saturday night. And do I like doing that? No, I'd like to have an older presence. You look at our back end, I think every backup in our secondary is either a freshman or a walk-on. And so that's just where we're at in the program, and that's why we have to continue to recruit and develop our current players.
We used that many freshmen in a season before?
No.
Butch, to follow up on that secondary, those 3 walk-ons, is that good news that you found 3 pretty good walk-ons, or is it bad news that there's nobody else?
Well, I tell you what, all 3 individuals have done a tremendous job, and they've earned the right to play. And that's part of having a very successful football program is you have to have a very strong walk-on program. And before we go recruit the next class, if there's an individual who's deserving to be put on scholarship, we'll put them on scholarship. And they've done a tremendous, tremendous job. And, Reggie June, I think, is a great story. Here he was playing running back, and now he's a backup corner playing in the SEC. And he's done a tremendous, tremendous job. Devon Swafford is another individual who we've asked a lot of him from playing corner to playing nickel. He's got great instincts. He's a great tackler, and he's extremely athletic. But all these individuals have done a great job for us.
But you didn't mention Kermagid and among the guys that are out. Is there still a chance that he might play?
There is a chance. We're still we're gonna take our time with him. We never want to rush anyone back from injury, but he's going to practice this week, and that'll be probably a Friday decision on whether he'll play against Austin Peay or not.
Coach, did any of those guys in the secondary jump up and sort of, make you feel like you could afford to move Vincent, or is that more of a reflection that we need more bodies at the wide receiver?
Well, I think it was a combination of both. The other individual, when we talked about the walk-ons, is Max Arnold. Max Arnold's been an individual who's been extremely consistent for us, not only in the back end of our defense, but also on special teams. But, it's a combination of Vincent does bring some experience to the wide receiver core, and then, with the progression of the way Malik Foreman has progressed, the way Reggie June has progressed, that afforded us the little luxury that we did have to be able to move him back to offense.
And so much youth back there, does that really influence game planning and play calling, do you think, or is it more just force feed them and make them learn?
Well, it's a combination. We have to do some different things to protect them. But I said that the mark of playing great defense is going to be how our front 7 plays. We have to be able to generate a pass rush with a 4-down rush. We can't be having to, play fire zone coverage and give up underneath coverage zones in order to have a 5- and 6-man pressure on the quarterback. We have to be able to generate pressure with a 4-man rush. Anytime you're having to put 5 and 6 individuals to rush the quarterback, you're putting your secondary in a bind. You're putting them in some uncompromising positions. So we have to do a great job up front.
Coach, where are you with your special teams? I know there's a lot of investment from the practice field there, both with your kickers, where are your coverage units? Where do you feel your comfort level with your special teams?
I'll know a little bit more after the game Saturday. We practice every single special teams unit. We practice every day. We've done an inordinate amount of live repetitions. A lot of people don't like to practice special teams live. We've practiced every unit live, including hands and onside. But we have so many young individuals playing those special teams, we won't really know until They face game speed action Saturday night, and those are one of those things that I talked about earlier, is the game of unknowns really occurs in the special teams game, the first game of the season.
Is George Bullard close at all to alleviating one of those kicking positions?
Right now, I would say Mike Pilardi has full grasp of both positions.
Is it close?
No. He's earned the right to handle all the duties.
How has he responded to Justin Trumio? Going to have a lot on his plate, and you talked about that at the start of training camp, how much was going to be on his plate. How has he responded to that?
He's responded. You know, the big thing we've challenged Mike with is just a high level of consistency in performance. That's what you want out of your kicking game. You know, and when we call for a ball to be placed in a certain area, whether it's kickoff, whether it's punt, it has to be placed in that certain area, and that's a byproduct, again, of playing great special teams that a lot of people don't realize is your kick location. A lot of times, you know, from a coverage standpoint, you're trying to eliminate a third of the field. You know, so your kick placements are at a premium. And so he's going to have to perform well for us. And, you know, George Bullock started to perform. He was slow a little bit with the sore leg. He'll be back in practice today. But, again, those spots are going to be ongoing in terms of competition as well, along with Brodus as well. So we'll continue, just like our quarterback position, in every position to really compete at the kicking spots.
Which, what do you know about Austin Peay at this point? I know you said it's a game of unknowns, and I imagine for an FCS opponent, they usually get some transfers and some different things happen, so it's even more different, but what do you know?
Well, I do know that they're going to be extremely well coached. Coach Cannon does a great job. A lot of friends in the business that know him, and they'll be prepared. And I've been on the other side. You know, they're coming in here with the mindset that they're coming in to win. You know, and you're going to get their best effort. You know, like I said, I've prepared a football team on the other side. And what we have to do is concern ourselves with our performance and being mentally and physically ready to play. But I already talked about Timmy Phillips. I talked about their quarterback. They have an extremely very, very gifted defensive end that's on the Senior Bowl watch list, and they play with a lot of energy. And so we have to be prepared to play. This team, I told you, is not good enough just to show up. And we have to be prepared each and every week. That's why, you know, we have to teach our players really what game week means. How do you prepare yourself to play at a very high standard? You know, it's not just physically, it's mentally. It's doing the extra film study. It's taking care of your bodies. It's supposed to be 92 degrees on Saturday. You know, it's hydration that begins today. You know, it's taking pride in your preparation with everything that you do.
Coach, did it feel any different today, waking up knowing it's game week and you're at Tennessee now? I mean, does it feel any different, or is it kind of the same? You're just used to it?
Used to it. I think I was a little grumpier. My mind's been racing. I woke up about 3 times in the middle of the night last night, you know, worried about the first day nuances. You know, having 11 men on the field, you know, all of a sudden, you know, getting your extra point field team, you know, on, getting your offense off the field, you know, the transitions, the special teams, you know, all the game management type situations. That's what I pride myself in, is the game management things that come out throughout the course of a game. So you can definitely feel the energy, the excitement, but I'm more making sure. I get more nervous in preparation Monday through Friday than I do on game day. Because to me, that's when you prepare to win. That's when you deserve to win, is your preparation throughout the course of the entire week.
The waking up and the nervousness, is that how you have been
Yes.
the week always? Okay.
Yes. Everywhere I've had about 6 different trainers from the different places I've been calling me to check on me and all that, but it's making sure that every small detail is looked into, is practiced, is rehearsed, is talked about, and making sure that our team is ready for anything and everything. I think the big thing for us is I want to see this team play relentless. You know, I want to see this football team play with great energy, you know, and I think that's the first step of becoming a better football team. We have to play with great energy. We have to play with a collective energy, a collective toughness, you know, amongst ourselves in offense, defense, special teams, having a sideline ready to go. And not false or fake energy, but passion for what you're doing. And it's like I told our football team, I don't like emotional football teams. I don't like emotional people. If you show me an emotional football team, I'll show you a football team that is up and down. They don't have a consistency in their performance. I want a football team that's relentless and passionate about playing football at the University of Tennessee, and I'm anxious to see that Saturday night.
If the situation calls for it, who would your third quarterback be Saturday?
You know, right now, we'll make that determination as this week goes on. You know, obviously, I will tell you this, it's going to be a true freshman. So we'll find out a little bit. We'll find out a little bit more. And that's the thing is, every day with true freshmen, they're getting better. You know, but again, it's them learning how to manage the distractions, manage the clutter. You know, what's important to them? How do you prepare? How do you go about, you know, your daily business, the daily grind now of a college football season, the scrutiny that you're under? You know, all those things. Getting to bed at 11 o'clock, you know, which I don't know if I ever was to bed before 11 o'clock in college, but you know, you have to have 8 hours sleep. The nutrition, getting in, studying film. You know, the best quarterbacks I've been around, they have the spiral notebooks filled up for just one week of preparation. You know, and then being able to handle it as quickly as it comes. Stimulus, response, and being able to play the game very fast.
Butch, how will you delegate the responsibility of knowing how many players are on the field at all times?
Well, we've worked together so much as a coaching staff. There's an art to it, you know, with the coaches up in the box, with different people I talk to and speak to on the phones, and it's just that overall communication. But, you know, what happens in the speed of the game, like we had, for instance, we even practiced 10 men on the field for an extra point field goal. You know, what do? Do you take a delay a game or do you take a timeout? You know, and now with the end of game situations, I always like to have a timeout in my back pocket at the end of the game because of the 10-second runoff rule. So I don't like to waste my timeout. So really teaching your players, you know, how many timeouts do you have in 1 minute drill, and if you take a sack, you know, do you take the timeout there? All the little game management things that go into it. And we worked very, very extensively on that throughout the course of training camp. But again, when the pressure goes up and there's people in the stands, a lot of times individuals act differently. So that's why we try to practice the way we have. But, you know, I'll know more about this football team Saturday night.
Butch, how far do you feel like you've come with your football IQ?
I think we've come a long way, but I still think we're a work in progress. We still have a long ways to go. But again, it's the why. You know, we do this because of this. This is why we do it, and them understanding it, and then taking the teaching to the field. And, you know, most everyone's been at all of our practice throughout the course of training camp. I think you all saw, you know, the amount of teaching that went into the game management situations. You know, little things like you're in 4-minute offense, and all you need is a first down, then you can take a knee and run the clock out. Well, we have a down call. So if that running back gets a first down, he takes a knee. He doesn't go and score. You know, so now we're in victory formation. My first year at Central Michigan, we were on the road, and all we needed to do was run the clock out. We were up. And our running back went and kept running and almost fumbled the ball. And that's where that was created. So we have now a down call. You know, you learn from your past experiences. So all those little things that you practiced, at some point in time throughout the course of the year, those all will come into play.
Coach, you've talked a lot about pass rush and the things that need to generate it, obviously. But, you know, how much do you think it may have skewed your perception of what you have with, you know, Kurt being limited, John Kaz being out, and Kevin Core? I mean, maybe your three best guys to do that have been out for, you know, weeks or limited.
Well, they all have been out at some point in time, but the standard and the expectation will never change. And I think that's the big thing. It doesn't matter if it's number 1, number 2, or number 3. The standard and expectation by the way we're going to play football here will never change. And so, you know, it is what it is. You know, we have to continue to develop our pass rush. It's so many things about hands, you know, hand-to-hand combat, you know, using your feet, working edges of the defender, you know, keeping your points on the quarterback with your rush lane. So we'll continue to develop that. Does that hurt us with a couple of those individuals out? Yes, but the way I look at it is it's an opportunity for everyone else. It's a great opportunity for Corey Miller, you know, a senior. You know, now's your time. You know, go take advantage of it. So I always look at it in terms of, you know, of opportunities for everyone. Jordan Williams, another individual, he's worked extremely hard in the offseason and training camp. Now's your time. Go assert yourself. You know, go take advantage of all your hard work. So I kind of look at it like that.
Anything else?
Then part of game week, or game prep week, you guys are in practice running through the tee. How much do these traditions, just like leading into the first game, how much will that mean to the players? And for some of the freshmen to have that first experience at AMU this Saturday?
Well, it's a pride of who we are. I mean, that's Tennessee. Running through the tee is Tennessee. The ball walk is Tennessee. But we can't lose sight to focus on the task at hand, and that's Austin Peay. Those traditions are who we are. But at the end of the day, it's about performing and winning football games and playing winning football and understanding what it takes to play winning football. And that's why this week of preparation is critical. And these players they're gonna understand. They'll get presented today the big three to winning, and they'll understand the big three. We'll talk about it all week long. And again, the greatest teams I've been around is their week of preparation is unmatched. And it's position groups getting together, watching film study together, talking about the game, living the game. You got to live it every day. And so that's a big part of our evolution of this football team, and teaching the older players, hey, this is our standard and expectation of taking pride in your performance off the field in terms of your preparation.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.